spend your energy, your consciousness, empowering something that is just a projection. And so that projection sucks you in, it sucks your essence. Life will take care of you no matter what. You've been taking care until now. You've earned your living until now. It means you are the money. You are the source. You have the capacity to earn and to have, because all these houses, all these cars, all this money and professions and everything, that's your emanation, you understand? You've been taken care of until now. So it means you have that capacity to survive in this world and to be taken care of. Now, the only thing that prevents you and makes you doubt is your fear. And fear is the illusion. Fear is that illusion that is based on this corrupt self. And that's why it becomes the demon. Because this part becomes your demon. This part becomes the demon. It seems like it's outside, but it's within. And then you start seeing this corrupt self through the reflection. You notice people who have similar issues as your mom, and they start disturbing you, they start hurting you, but it's again one and the same point, to make you understand what's within you. All the other people, your sister, your mom, everything is just a reflection of that what is within you. And when you come to terms with these things, you understand that there's only one value, and this value is in your own wholesomeness, because you will take only your wholesome being with you. If anything happens, you know, anything can happen. An asteroid can hit the earth and we can all perish. But that last thought, the thought I am, the being, that autonomous spiritual being that you're trying to be, will be with you. And when you let go, when it's equal for you, whether I win or lose, you become a wise man, nothing more, nothing less. And that wisdom is so much more valuable. It is invaluable. It costs everything which exists, billions of whatever. It costs everything, because this wisdom makes you able to reproduce any experience. This wisdom makes you able to connect and maybe open new opportunities, whether you lose or you win. When you're wholesome, and remember, whatever happens in your life, when you're wholesome, when opportunities knock on your door, you see them through wisdom. Just enjoy your life every moment, no matter what. House, no house, because these thoughts, they come from this unwholesome self, because you think that it defines you. It doesn't define you. Nothing defines you. What if you were an orphan? Nothing defines you. You wouldn't have a house, but you would have yourself. And if that self was wholesome, you would be able to reproduce a lot of things. Look, a lot of people are self-made. They had nothing and now they have everything. They even are billionaires, because they were able to recognize opportunities, because they didn't have that given wealth or inheritance where they could say, oh, I already have it, I don't need to do anything. They were digging and cultivating themselves, even in a material way, even in an educational way, so that they can understand how the world operates, so that they could manifest that wealth. Even if they manifest it, they cannot take it with them. Understanding the path intellectually is one thing. Being in the vortex of transmission, seeing and facing yourself, very different experience. The more you refine, the more you reflect. And even the more you refine yourself, you start going around your city, meeting people, you will reflect them. And they might have positive or negative attitude to that. But you see, this is how we learn. It's not like a pyramid where we have a guru and we are nothing. No, we have a source of teaching. We are to become teaching ourselves. Once we become teaching ourselves, our presence wherever we are already creates a vortex of transformation. Because you can talk about nothing. You can talk about movies. You can talk about the presence. Reflect, because at that moment when you even talk about nothing and discuss nothing, or discuss some stupid things, or silly things, or maybe trivial things, or you even maybe laughing and running around, you will see the degree of your freedom or no freedom. And that's what the freedom is. The freedom, eventually you need to know how to exit the body. That's a different type of freedom. But while alive, you have to be free, honest, and true to yourself. That's what you're trying to come up to now, and this is your final trial. We all have done things, but all these actions are condemned only in our own head. We think, oh, our classmates were judging us, our siblings were judging our parents. But in fact, the only one who is judging ourselves is us ourselves. Because if you were to just pass these experiences by, they would be irrelevant without any acknowledgement. Okay, it's like whatever you do, you don't, like a child, they don't acknowledge what they do. And it just goes on. But if someone tells them you're a thief, you've just touched something, and the mother, hey, put it back, it instantly reflects, hey, I can't just take it back, like just take it. Because if we weren't taught boundaries, but at the same time, these boundaries become our prisons as well. But it's a good prison in a way. We recognize that it's true that I do not need to take something that belongs to others, but originally we lose connection with the world because we created these social prisons, and these social prisons are based on spiritual degradation and social degradation, where someone has a right to take and someone not, because originally it was everything was given to everyone, or because the system is not equal, the whole condemnation arose, because before there was no such a thing as poverty and theft and everything, because everyone had the same access. And so right now, if a child is born to a poor family, he will already be condemned. If he tries to go through a fruit stall and take up fruit, he will be called a thief. But that's not a theft. That's a condemnation of the society. Again, we all had access to plants. If someone tries a opium plant or some other plant and they have high and they decide, oh, I like this feeling, but actually originally if they had access to it, but they had the beautiful family, everything is smooth, they would not be interested in it. They would try it, okay, it's nice, let it be there. The origin of all this traumas, it's a collective trauma. It's a reflection of dysfunctional family. It's a reflection of dysfunctional society, which is built on by the dysfunctional family, and so on and so forth. So all these commandments, sins, they are irrelevant, because for the existence they are man-made reality. They're irrelevant. Yet in this current society, if we didn't tell our child to stop taking what doesn't belong to him, or to stop touching, it would create an issue in their consciousness, because they would be outcast. They would be then marked, if not marked by the parent, they would be marked by the society. You're a thief, you're a thief. But in fact, no one is a thief, even if they've taken something, because the issue is much deeper. It's in the corruption of the society and the whole system of this era of, corrupt age. When we look at this system, we understand that whatever we do is not our fault. When we arrive to this conclusion, we start the process of healing. It is not our fault, but we have to realize the corruption of the society within ourselves and dissolve it through our own effort. That's why this is the first step on spiritual path, because without this step there is no understanding of spirituality. Without the dissolution of trauma, without the refinement of the traumatic social experience, family experience, and all this so-called corruption of the age, we're not able to even come close to the spirituality. And even if we come close, we will not understand, we will not decipher. This knowledge is too superior, but it's superior through its simplicity, because the mind and all these traumatic experiences make our minds split, divided, and corrupt. But spirituality is a singular flow. It's so simple that we can't grasp it without complex minds. We need to dissolve all this traumatic experience so that we can perceive the natural flow within. When we perceive the natural flow within, we open up to life as a natural flow, because life is a natural flow. And then we understand the simplicity, and we start flowing through this simplicity, and we then become mature and ready to grasp what the spirituality is, and what is the science of subtle being, what is the science of light body, spiritual body, existence, on the subtle level, exit from the physical, all the other aspects, because then our being is wholesome, it's not corrupt, then that information can settle in, because that information makes sense, because it becomes direct experience. As long as the trauma is there, there is no possibility for that knowledge to sprout out, because knowledge is that flow. And so the trauma veils it, the trauma corrupts that state of natural being. So we are not able to be the knowledge, to be the natural being. Any spiritual teaching at its core is the direct experience of simplicity and the flow. Whether we use the word flow, whether we use the word equanimity, whether we use the word I am, or we use the word being, or the universal, or the ultimate being, or creation, or whatever that is, everything is one. And when the flow is restored, you perceive I am one. What is this one? It means I can be many. It means that can be seen as many, that can be expressed through words, as so many words, as so many metaphors, because people say it's love, it's God, it's equanimity, it's meditation, it's samadhi, it's yoga. It's one and the same thing, because for that flow, you are many. That's what all the Siddha teachings say. When you restore your this one perception means it's a flow. It's a natural flow. The flow is many. The flow is many. It means before the flow is spoken about, it's one. Once you start speaking about it, it becomes many. And this is the same point of creation. Once there is a being, it has all creation only in its potentiality. It has a subtle creation, but not the actual. When you are the being, right? Being has creation in its potentiality. So once the being manifests, that's the creation, but the creation and the being are the same. This direct experience is still a very rare phenomenon. People talk about it, but if people mature to perception, they can only distinguish the teaching by transmission and vibration. For example, I think it was in Yoga Siddha, it was said, or it was said by, I reckon it's Yoga Siddha, which said that you can recognize the perceptor by the power of transmission. But again, the transmission is not just my intention, because every human being can transmit. They can transmit their creativity. They can transmit their creativity mixed with emotions. They can transmit their creativity mixed with thoughts and intentions and ideas, which connects them again to the world. But in here, we mean, it's a pure transmission of the being. Because the pure transmission of the being is unintentional, it's unconditional, it's just pouring there, whether you acknowledge it or not, whether you recognize it or not. It's like grace. Grace is always there at any point of time, and that grace is Shaktipat. And people say, I want to receive Shaktipat from here and from there. If you were aligned within yourself, you were in that flow, you would perceive that Shaktipat or that grace or whatever you call it, that flow within yourself at 24/7, all the time, because you would see, I am that. And when people look for initiations and other, if they come to a real teaching, a vessel of teaching, they will perceive it, they will be all the time emanation. But only when they are themselves able to kind of subside all the movements within themselves, they will be able to perceive this. But even if they are not able to perceive them directly, these emanations will transform them through interaction with the vessel of the teaching. But so not many people are vessels of the teaching. That's where the difference is. But everyone can become a vessel of teaching and an embodiment of teaching. The more they let go of their, illusionary perceptions and perspectives, which are based on traumas, which are based on misconception of reality, misinterpretation of reality, all this pseudo knowledge or bookish knowledge or limited knowledge, It's okay for as a part of, okay, you have an information, but it's like it shouldn't be a big deal. If it becomes a big deal in your head, it means you create a subtle, again, reality in yourself around this phenomenon. And then you are again preventing your flow from being there unconditionally. The point of mastery is about being able to maintain that being at all time, at all costs, and always being able to return. Even if you a little bit going into emotional side for 1 minute, or you need to express yourself differently in different situations. The situation is over, you're back to the self, you're back to that natural flow. That's the only teaching. And that's so simple, right? Be any moment, here and now. It seems long because people condemn themselves. People perceive the trauma stronger than the natural stream of self. It's like walking and seeing benches every 20 meters and not being able to recognize them and to sit there and rest. Because at every moment you can just sit and be. You don't even need to sit and be. You can just walk and be. So-called the sense of detaching from the action. You're speaking like I'm transmitting it at this very second. So you're speaking, but you're within yourself. There's nothing that is connecting you to the whatever action they're appearing to be. There's no action there, even though there's this, it looks like there is a speech or there's a process of explaining something, but there is absolute wholesomeness within, which just has nothing to do with that which is arted, yet it's an emanation. That's what is called pouring of the heart. But pouring of the heart, what is the heart? The heart is the pure being, a pure mind. Heart is not that physical heart. When you speak from the heart, you speak from the pure mind. And pure mind is that unveiled, dissolved, I mean, not dissolved, but refined, where all the traumas are dissolved, where everything is dissolved. And that's why sometimes when the being is emanated, or when it's empty, sometimes even words fail because it's not logical sometimes. Just pouring, it's just flowing, and the mind just uses the apparatus of the throat, to just express something that is just simple, very, very simple. And then that's where there comes a moment of silence. That's the strong. Where there's only sharing of the being, nothing more. And where there is this sharing of the being, there's completeness, there's wholesomeness. There's just being. And if we are able to operate in the physical reality through life, from that being, we are more than blessed. And when we can come back to that being dissolves all our traumatic experiences, all our past traumatic impressions, all our thoughts of condemnation, self-punishment, and so on and so forth. So that's why it's so important to experience this awakening to this being. And this being is yoga. Because when you awaken to this flow, you are yoga. And through this flow, you are able to dissolve anything. But the thing is that all these traumas, all these subtle impressions, they don't come out all at once. That's why there is so-called an impression of a journey through life, through impact with the reality and through interaction with other people, layer by layer, certain subtle impressions through interaction with others in the world, they come up. You feel your reactions, you understand yourself, and you refine yourself until the point when there is no reaction, there is just being.